In the US, Washington, there was a serious air crisis. A full-time passenger's taxi who had to be in a long time had a crash. He was on a beach. The 109 passengers were in a deep sea. Only 5 passengers were in a miracle. In order to get these survivors to get out of the accident's shadow, the aviation company invited a beautiful doctor to do a psychotherapy. But as the treatment was deep, the users were one after the other and missing. The therapist, because of the doubt, had another secret. The result, he found a shocking and unnerving truth. In this episode, Tienten brings you this very difficult to guess the end of this scary, terrifying film, The Emotion of a Noor. The female actress Wee Wee is a young, beautiful psycho. This evening in the dorm, Wee Wee was in a dream. She dreamed of a plane. On the flight, the passengers were dead. When he woke up, he got a call from his boss, and he was surprised. The boss told him he had a serious rescue case. The 109 passengers, only 5 were still alive. The rest were all in trouble. After the doctor's examination, these 5 were a little bit injured, a miracle. But they were all scared. Some of them had a memory miss. The aviation company contacted the officer. He was planning to hire a doctor, planning to hire a professional doctor to give him a guest to be a professional psychologist. The officer has this mission to give him to be a bit more serious. The interesting thing is, this accident has been really similar to what he had in his dream. He was not even surprised. She was in a hurry to go to the hospital. When she got there, the endometriosis had already been tired. Only the man Laura was still awake. When she met her, she was a bit excited. She started to see her as a big fan. It was not like the one who had just experienced the crisis. It was a bit awkward. Gama showed me that he wanted to get her in. She was going to get a collective talk, to give everyone to be a psycholip. She invited Laura to join, but Laura said that he was very healthy. He refused to invite her. He thought the two of them were not used to a collective communication, so he had to meet with her in a separate meeting to do a one-on-one psychotherapy. When he was ready to tell him to leave, Lalo suddenly called him and said a very strange thing. "You'd like to call your sister, to call her, to avoid an accident and still left a regret." Wee felt in a sense of doubt. She did indeed have a sister, but the two were in a serious behavior. They had a serious fight. They had already been in a period of time without in touch. Lalo's words were clearly clear, but he had not seen Lalo before. How would the other one know? And then the next day he had a sister. Wee with this full of thoughts, came back to his house. The neighbor's neighbor, the minister, knocked on her door. He had sent to me the wee which was in the washroom to wash the dried clothes. The minister was warm, letting wee to give her a quick call. Even though they were neighbors, they were not in a hurry. The minister's too much love made wee a little bit of his head. He had finally removed the other's goodwill. After sending him the minister, he remembered the old girl's advice. So the ghost, like a ghost, called her. But the phone at the end, no one was listening. Wee as promised, held a talk. Other than the 4 of the users, all went to the site to join. Wee started to lead everyone to think of the situation. His arm was gently curing back. The plane had a fire. He had heard a strange noise, and he had a light. But the white-toothed uncle said the plane was going to the beach, and then a fire had a fire. The short-eared lady also said the explosion was a crash before it happened. But she said before the plane was going to be in the air before it, she saw someone staring at the outside, and he had a scary look. So there was definitely something scary. But what exactly is it? Dwalfa didn't even look at it. The other long-eared lady said she didn't remember anything. When the crowd got a few things, we found that a weird fungy nan was sitting outside the window. A weird Faust man. The other guy was staring at the side. He seemed to have something. The finder was found. The fungy nan had left the bed. The weird fungy nan let today's talk session finish. Then we found the aviation's manager, glasses, and spoke about the explosion. He wanted to analyze the cause of the accident. It was a help. But then, as the guy said, the cause of the accident has been found. It was because the pilot had a bad operation, caused the destruction. It had no relation with the explosion. But the EG's eyes were blind. He also had the data from the document box with no trace of a trace to cover it. He was clearly covered. He was clearly the truth. He was clearly a bit of a deep dive, but the work has to continue. After he had said goodbye to the guy, he, as he had said, came to Lalo's house, preparing to give him a one-on-one coaching. But Lalo was in a moment's change. He was not sick, and he was intentionally to avoid the things he was in trouble. In the conversation, Lalo was clearly expressed his desire to pursue Wee-Wee's intention. Even the coffee he gave him was Wee-Wee's favorite flavor. This thing became more and more weird. Wee-Wee didn't know Lalo, but the two of them clearly knew him. The two of them's communication was once again in love with him. The two of them's can't continue. Wee-Wee had to leave the meeting's address, ready to leave. Before he left, he still suggested Lalo's best to be with the other 4 of the team to participate in the treatment.
But when the second time Lalo didn't come, even Snowmao didn't get to the site. After the treatment, Wee Wee to go home. The white host's uncle is in a hurry to get in his car. The other guy was thinking he was following them. He said he was still in a dark position. Wee Wee he looked closely and found that the other guy was in the surveillance at the Filky Nan. The white host's uncle told Wee Wee he had the Filky Nan was a pilot who had been sent. These 2 days, he also remembered the details before the plane crashed. Just like the Junfana said, it did indeed have a strange voice and a firework. The reason for the crash was a machine's fault, not the pilot's fault. The uncle felt the air service, for the cause of an accident, he didn't think that the Airbus was, for the reason, he must have said a lie. But we still don't understand why the Airbus is saying this. The guy said, this is the plane's machine failure. The Airbus was once in a year. If it were to happen, the Airbus would have to call the public. So they will not to the pilot's head. The Whitewood's uncle even doubt that the Whitewood's uncle who had not been involved in the treatment, he had been killed by the Air Force. And the next target is his. Wee Wee, of course, does not believe this fictive of a public. The Air Force is not a black society. How can they get this fight-to-fight deal? He thinks that the Whitewood's uncle has not gone out of the dark. He had these thoughtful thoughts. After a bit of comfort, Wee Wee will send the uncle back home. Who knew the next day's treatment, the uncle was not there. 2 of the details were in the air. He also started to believe that the aviation company was doing something. He got to tell the story to his mentor. But the mentor thought that just because the 2 didn't participate in the treatment, it does not mean they had a problem. It may have just been a serious mental health. He had a negative feeling. Wee Wee feels the teacher's words are very valid. Maybe he really thought a lot. He decided to go to the white host to ask the situation. The other house's door was not locked. The house was empty. Wee Wee just got ready to go to the car and again saw the Fengyi Nan's voice. Wee Wee was worried that the other was not having a good idea, immediately started a car. Who knew the Fengyi Nan immediately came in and asked to help him. In fact, Fengyi Nan was also a safe in a safe. But after the accident, he lost his memory. He didn't even remember who he was. The reason why he followed us is to make sure that all this was done.
And ready to take a break, Wee Wee just wanted to get her in trouble. She finally found a weird scene. The Windy Man was gone. She was in a hurry to find people. But the other one, like a human being, just disappeared in front of her. At night, Wee Wee again came to the treatment team. This time, the one who participated in the treatment was the only one who had a short hair. The long-haired girl was still missing. The short-haired girl was also very flabbergasted. She claimed that there was a pair of middle-aged men who were waiting for her. Just when Wee Wee was in the middle of the afternoon, a few people were coming to see their dogs. The dogs that he had found were his own. But that dog, when he was very small, he had already died. How did it come up? He had a strange idea. He had a doubt that he had already died in a war, so he had to see a long dead dog. To prove this guess, he was just slightly entranced. He took a train on a train. Then he would have seen it. He had been in the car. He had been in the car. He had passed through the old man's body, and the other guy was still alive. He was still alive. This was too much of a dream. He was then soulfully back home. He didn't expect that the very hot neighbor, he was actually in his house, and her short-haired lady who had gone missing. The drunkard, the Wee Wee, had to ask the priest, "Where is the short-haired lady?" The priest, Love and Love, said, "Short-haired lady has been taken by her family." But Wee Wee remembers short-haired lady said her parents, when he was 6 years old, were in a crisis. Both died. Is it short-haired lady is lying? Or is it the priest is lying? Or is her sister lying? The head was about to pop up. Wee Wee came to the doctor's house to help and told her everything that she had been doing. She also thought everything was the aeroplasty who's doing. Without a doubt, the doctor was secretly telling Wee Wee the truth was not what he thought. At the moment, her doctor was being bought by the aeroplasty. So she got angry and went out of his house. But he didn't notice. When he had just gone, the neighbor's doctor took her from the dark to her doctor's. They got to know her, and they had a secret to hide.
He had been frozen, mentally broken, and he had to come to her house. Other than the Air Force, he was the only close and trusted person he knew and believed was her. She wanted to tell her how she wanted to do her best, but her house was empty. At this time, the Air Force's highman, Jan Singa, suddenly appeared. He told her, "No, no, 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 no.